What is up, everyone on YouTube? And today we're going to be talking about this character you see on your screen here, mostly because we have that custom group summon running, and she is one of the limiteds you can choose. And let me tell you, after her buffs, she is one of the best picks for sure that you can actually get from the limited group summon. Now, if you guys aren't really aware, she does have this skin. If you guys want to see, this is her base form. Looks amazing as well, but I do have her skin from the battle pass a while ago. I do believe it's available in the shop for skin tickets if you guys would like to get the skin. Not required though. But anyways, let's talk about her. So she recently got buffed, and not a lot of people were aware of, or are aware rather, of how powerful this buff is. And I don't want to brag, but I knew that this would be a huge buff because I use Diene a lot for PvE and PvP, just because she's an amazing character that has critical hit resistance, penetration resistance now, which is super powerful. And she also has an attack buff, a barrier. She has a cleanse that dispels all debuffs, and you can see that she has a lot of cycling with combat readiness as well, for your entire team with your S2, and then for herself with the S1, which makes it so that she can keep these buffs up and keep cleansing your team. Now, the biggest thing that got changed is this penetration resistance buff, which is extremely good in general, because penetration has kind of just swarmed Epic 7, and having resistance to it makes you a lot tankier. And if you pair her with something like an ML Ilyanov, it's just extremely annoying to play against. You do 0 damage to them, it feels like. And another thing that got changed is this attack and barrier. Not the barrier, but the attack buff got moved from her S3 to her S2, and the dispel got switched from her S2 to her S3. Now this was like the biggest change for me, because Diene has always had a really good kit. It's just that it was really awkward on autoplay. And what I mean by that is, if you're autoing through Arena, what you would do is you would S3, and it would not dispel, right? What it used to do is it just gave you these buffs with attack buff as well. And if you had unbuffable on you, which a ton of characters have in Arena defense, you actually were not able to put up any buffs. However, by changing the dispel to your S3 now, you dispel, put up all these defensive buffs, and then on your next turn, which comes very quickly because her S3 gives her 50% combat readiness, you will put this attack buff, barrier, and even this combat readiness buff up as well. So it just, just by changing that from her S2 and her S3, like switching it around, it just made her a lot more powerful in arena offense teams, and even Guild Wars offense as well, especially if you're autoing. And she has just become such an offensive monster that supports her team in arena offense for autoing. So I have her in my arena auto teams, like almost all of them now. She's just the best cleanser, because she kind of works similar to how Meteor Cowrick does, except she has way more sustain and a lot more supportive utility with her buffs. So I think that she is just a lot better. Also, she's very easy to build. So not only is she good in arena offense, right? You can also use her in a lot of PvE content, which is why you see that I have mine at basically 200% effect resist when you include her artifact. She's very good in Asmonak, she's very good in Cades, she's very good in Wyvern, she's very good in Raid, she's very good in Adventure, and she is extremely good if you're farming side story, right? If you're looking for a fast tank for side story, she's very good because she doesn't require setup for her attack buff. You just S3 into S2, and Tamarin takes a while, so she actually is fastest Soul Weaver for Adventure side story farming. But anyways, her build, pretty simple. You want her to be decently fast. Speed is actually her best stat, with effect resist being the second one. And that's mostly because she does cycle very quickly and cycles your team. So you can just lap the enemy team over and over and put up these buffs and keep them on your team. And because her buffs are so powerful, you definitely want to make sure she's decently fast. I think honestly, at the very minimum, if you have her at like 220, she should be fine. But you want to aim for higher for sure. Next, effect resist. This is really up to you. You can stack her on higher effect resist than I have her if you want her to be mainly a dispeller or cleanser. If you want her to be more aggressive, you can drop that for more speed. But for me, I have her around 200% because that's the breakpoint for PvE content, where you can resist pretty much everything. So having her at 200% is very good for both PvE and PvP, so I just have her on this one build for both areas of content. Now the rest of your stats, they can go into health and defense, really up to you. As long as you have her as bulky as you need to be, there's no set guideline. Honestly, my Diene, her defense is a little bit too high. I probably want more health or speed. Honestly, probably want to drop the defense for speed. And you just don't want a lot of wasted stats on her. But it doesn't really matter too much because she is a soul weaver, right? Doesn't really rely too much on stats. I have a ton of wasted stats and like effectiveness and stuff like that, and even attack here, but it is a-okay. She also gets this exclusive equipment that actually helps her with her speed, which makes her a lot easier to get gear. Just make sure you get it from the Hollow Child's shop. And the one you want to go for is actually going to be the combat readiness one for sure. This one is just the best by far. The S1 combat readiness is okay for PvE content and longer drawn out fights, but I really just think that, you know, the Blessing of the Goddess CR push of all allies is just like 10 times better than anything that she has. So that is the one you definitely want to go for. Now, very powerful unit. I think you definitely want to pick her up. She's probably one of the best, if not the best. Her artifact's really good too on herself. It makes it so that her biggest weakness, being that she doesn't have any healing built in, is just nullified with her artifact healing every time you use a non-attack skill. So basically your S2 or your S3. If you actually don't have this one, a very good option that is the same or sometimes even better, honestly, depending on the content you're doing, is Rod of Amaryllis. This one's also very good. Another one could be Celestin, very good as well. It's not her own artifact, but it does have her artwork, which is very funny. Another very powerful option for PvP is Guardian Ice Crystals. So if you guys don't have Diene, make sure you guys get her. Mine's not the best by all means, but she's extremely, extremely, extremely good in a lot of areas of content after her buffs. And she just has a kit that is very, very hard to make her like be bad in the meta. Even before her buffs, she was always like an okay option that you can use sometimes, but she just has way, like, really powerful support abilities, and she has definitely went up in a lot of tier lists in both PvP and PvE, and I'll definitely be showcasing her in some content, especially PvP for you guys in the near future, because I think she is very powerful. If you guys don't pick up Diene, you guys will regret it. Her banner might be available, you know, if they do randomly decide to run her, but keep in mind there's so many limits in the game that they have to actually space them out a lot more now. And with this custom group summon, which usually comes twice a year, but this is the first time this year, I think, you'd have to wait at least another 6 months for it to come back again. So, you know, definitely a unit you probably want to go for. Thank you for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys pull for her, or if you guys already have her, what you think about her in general after her buffs. I think she's a pretty good unit now. I don't think she's like broken, game-breakingly broken, but she's very, very strong. Thank you for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys next video.